start today standing. We're just going to start standing at the top of our mats here. And actually, can everyone see me all right? Let's just get a thumbs up on whether you can see me well and hear me well. Good, great, excellent. So we're going to start at the top of our mats here. You'll be at the top of your mat here, just standing there. I'm just standing to face you. And just start relaxed here. Your arms don't have to be in any sort of position here. They can just be down by your side. To start, we'll just do a little breath work. And let the eyes flutter shut here as you start to notice your breath. Start to move your breath rounds through your nose. And lengthening out the inhales and the exhales. A nice long drawn out inhale through the nose. And then exhaling through the nose. Just let go of any distractions from the day, anything you might need to do later on. And just try to come into this space here and focus your energy on the breath. At the top of your next inhale, take a slight pause. And then take a nice long exhale out, letting it all go. And a slight pause at the bottom of your exhale. Nice long inhale in through the nose. And a slight pause at the top of your inhale, followed by a long exhale out through the nose. And a pause at the bottom of your exhale. And just continue to follow this rectangular shape for a few more breath rounds on your own here as we settle in today's practice. Filling the chest and the belly on the inhales. And letting it all go, totally deflating the body as we exhale. Do one more big inhale in through the nose. And then on your exhale, we're going to do what's called lion's breath. And through the mouth, let it all go. One more like that. Nice big inhale in through the nose. And through the mouth, lion's breath, let it go. Let's go ahead and flutter our eyes open. Maybe wiggle the fingers and the toes here. Shake out the knees a little bit. We're going to start today just bringing our hands together at our waist here. And take an inhale in and sweep the arms up overhead, coming all the way up onto the tippy toes if that's available to you. And then exhale, bring the arms back down. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. This time maybe your gaze goes up overhead with you as you come up to your tippy toes. And then exhale, bring it down. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, and this time leave your right arm up as you bring your left arm down and your heels down and start to bend off to your left as you come down. Letting the left arm slide down your left leg. And try to just keep your hips in line with your shoulders and your ankles here. Inhale, sweep both arms up overhead as you come up to the tiptoes. And then exhale, bring the right arm down, keeping the left arm overhead as you reach off to the right this time. One more time on each side here. We're going to come up to the tippy toes, both arms overhead. Exhale, bring the left arm down, keeping the right overhead as you start to lean off to the right. And then maybe you bring your right hip or a little bit further out to the right. Inhale, both arms back up overhead, and then exhale, bring the right arm down, Leaning off to the right here. Sorry, I think I got that screwed up before. And then come back overhead. Come up to the tippy toes one last time. And then this time, as you bring your heels down, bring your hands and arms down behind you, interlacing your fingers behind your back. Take an inhale in to broaden through the chest and start to draw the hands away from the seat. And then as you exhale, you're going to hinge and fold forward, bending deep into the knees so that your belly touches your thighs and your arms come up overhead any amount, up towards the sky any amount. Let your head hang heavy. We're going to hold this bound hands here for just one more breath round. Nice big breath in. Then as you exhale, go ahead and release your hands, bring your arms underneath your shoulders and grab opposite elbows as you ragdoll your forward fold here. Maybe rocking back and forth, side to side. Just make sure you let your head hang heavy so you feel a nice little stretch through your neck. Go ahead and release your elbows. Take a nice big inhale in as we come to a halfway lift. So half lift is straightening our spine here, straightening our legs, drawing the shoulder blades in together. Gaze should be right at the floor, right in front of you. And then exhale, forward fold, bending the knees enough so that your belly touches your thighs. Place your hands down on the floor and then bring the knees down to the floor and making our way to a tabletop all fours position here. So your hands are going to be underneath your shoulders, knees are under the hips, and have your fingertips spread out nice and wide here. And as we're in these tabletop positions, try to keep the hands fully, or the palms fully on the mat here. So we're going to start with some circles here to start our practice with our tabletop. So we start to move the shoulders around in a circular position. Trying to keep the belly nice and toned here, keeping the spine nice and straight. And then go ahead and switch directions. And these circles can be sort of as big or as small as you want here. There's no right or wrong in terms of how big the circles are. Really, what feels good to your body here as we warm up and get ready for our practice. We're going to make our way back to a neutral spine here. We're going to do some cat-cows here. So we're going to be doing some spine work here with the back. So any low back issues or back issues here, just be cautious and come out of it or go very slowly here to start. So we're going to start by just moving up and down the spine, and then you'll be able to do a few on your own breath rounds here. So I'll guide you through the first. We're going to start with a neutral spine. And we're going to start by tucking the tailbone in so that it comes in towards your knees, and then start to round the low back, rounding the mid back, moving up one vertebrae at a time, rounding the upper back, and then finally tucking the chin in. Then we're going to reverse directions, and we're going to keep the spine where it is and lift the chin up first, and then start to bring the mid or upper back down, and then mid back down, and then low back down, and finally lift the tailbone to the sky, dropping that belly down. So we'll tuck the tailbone in, round the low back, round the mid back, round the upper back, finally tucking the chin in, and then lift the chin up, bring the upper back down, the mid back down, the low back down, and finally bring the tailbone to the sky here. So you can move through with these on your own breath rounds here for a couple more as you get warmed up. So we'll drop the belly, broaden through the chest, lift the chin, coming into our cow pose. And then coming into the cat pose, you exhale, round the spine, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin. But as you do these, just try to move up and down the spine. Trying to get some segmented movement of your vertebrae here. Do one more. And then let's make our way back to sitting on our heels or on a block, or if it's more comfortable for you to just stand on your knees here, we'll do that. Let's bring our hands out in front of us here. Our elbows will be bent at a 90-degree angle, and our palms will be facing towards the sky. We're just going to do a little wrist work here. So we're going to start with lifting. So try to keep your forearms where they're at and try not to cup your hands while we're doing this. So lift your fingers up towards the sky as far as you can, keeping everything else still. Bring your fingers in towards each other, and then bring the fingertips down towards the floor, and then out to the sides, up to the ceiling, to the inside, down towards the floor, and then out towards the side. Go ahead and roll the wrists out a little bit here, just freely without that segmented movement. And then make your way back to your tabletop all fours. So we're going to bring our right leg out to the side here, straight next to you. And bring it out far enough so that your right or your left knee is right underneath your left hip here. And your right toes are going to be facing the front of the mat. And then your hands are underneath your shoulders. And what we're going to do to start here, this is our half gate position. So we're going to start just by kind of rocking back and forth. Try to keep the spine still. And to do that, just sort of engage the low belly here. And as we're rocking back and forth, if you find a tight spot or sticking point that you feel like needs a little bit more attention, you can go ahead and stop on that point and just use your breath rounds to breathe into that spot before we make our way to our next position. Nice long inhales and exhales, keeping with that breath. And let's make our way back to a neutral sort of spine here. And let's make sure, just so that we're in the proper position, that our right heel is right in line with our left knee. So we're going to keep the left hand on the ground, and we're going to bring the right arm overhead as you open up to the right. And then exhale, bring your right hand to your hip and start to walk your left hand back towards your knee, and then come up with your torso upright here. So both hands will be on the hips. Inhale, bring the left arm overhead. And then as you exhale, bring your right arm down your leg as you start to bend off to the right here. A nice big inhale in and exhale it out. Inhale, both arms back up overhead. Then exhale, bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Bring that right foot back in underneath the hips. Left foot out this time. So the left heel is in line with the right knee. And your left toes are facing to the front of the mat, or as close to the front of the mat as they can be. They're at a bit of an angle, that's totally fine. And we'll start, just leaning back and forth here, rocking back and forth. And again, on this side, if you find any sort of tight spots in the groin area along the midline or the inner line of the thighs and the calf, just go ahead and stop on that point and give it a little bit of attention with the breath. Make our way back to a neutral spine here, and then keep that right hand pointed onto the ground, and inhale, bring the left arm up overhead as you open up to the left. And then exhale, bring the left hand to the hip and start to walk the right hand back towards the right knee until you can bring your torso up and your right hand to your hip. Inhale, bring that right arm up overhead on your inhale. And then exhale, start to hinge off to the left this time, bringing the left hand long down the left leg. Try to push that left hip or right hip forward a little bit here. Nice work, and really press through the top of the right foot as well. Nice work, everyone. You guys are doing great. One more big inhale in, bringing that arm up overhead on the inhale. Exhale, bring the hands back to the floor, underneath the shoulders. Knee back underneath the hip. Back to our tabletop all fours here. Let's bring our knees to the outside edge of the mat and our toes in together. Actually, that's not right. Back to a tabletop position here. So what we're going to do first is bring our right foot and start to walk it in between our hands here. So our hands will be framing our right foot. And then inhale, bring the arms up overhead. We're coming into what's called Anjaneyasana. And then as you exhale, just sink deep into your hips here, deep into the right knee, deep into the hips. You should feel a nice stretch along the left hip flexor here. Take a nice big inhale in again. And as you exhale, cactus your arms. Broaden through the chest. Inhale back up overhead. And then exhale, cactus your arms. And maybe you do a back bend, maybe you don't. If you get any twinges in the low back here, just come out of it and then come to a comfortable, safe place with your low back. Inhale back up overhead. And then exhale, maybe you hinge back, and then maybe this time your gaze goes up overhead as you sink deeper into the hips here. Hold for a breath in. And on your breath out, we're going to start to straighten your front leg as you bring your seat back over your left knee, drawing the right toes off the ground and back towards your shin. This is halfway splits. You need to adjust it all here. That's totally fine. You can bring your right knee back a little bit, or maybe your left knee back a little bit, or your right foot forward a little bit. Just try to keep your hips square to the front of the mat. And if you have blocks, this is a really useful place for blocks to frame your front foot to try to keep the back a little bit more straight. Otherwise, you can just be on your fingertips. That's totally fine. Do one more big inhale here. Keep those right toes drawing back towards the hips. And as you exhale, bend deep into that right leg again. Frame your front foot with your hands. Bring your right knee back. And then switch sides, bringing the left foot between the hands. Right knee is back behind you now. So help keep a little bit of balance here. Press through the top of your right foot as you're doing this. And then inhale, bring the arms up overhead. As you exhale, sink deep into the hips and the left knee. Nice big inhale in. And as you exhale, cactus your arms, drawing the shoulder blades in together, broadening through the chest. Inhale the arms back up overhead. And then exhale, cactus your arms. Maybe you come into a bit of a back bend here, bringing your gaze overhead. Inhale, back up to arms overhead. And then exhale, last cactus, bringing the gaze up overhead if you desire. Coming into a bit of a back bend here, drawing the shoulder blades in together. One more big inhale in. And as you exhale, we're going to make our way to our half splits on this side. So start to bring your hands to frame your front shin as you straighten that left leg out and bring your seat over your back knee. Draw the left toes back towards your left shin here. Really engaging that left shin or that left leg. We'll hold for a couple breath rounds here, trying to keep everything straight and engage. Press through the top of that back foot. And keep your hips nice and square to the front of the mat. If you notice you kind of collapsed off to one side, that means you probably need to straighten or adjust the length between your heel and your knee. So either draw your knee back or push your heel forward. One more big inhale in here. Then as you exhale, bend into that left leg, frame your front foot. Come back to your tabletop position here. And now we're going to bring the knees to the outside edge of the mat and the toes in together. So we're going to do this little down dog, cat cow flow here, and then we'll make our way to down dog and hold that for a little while. So from here, we're going to drop the belly, lift the chin, coming into this modified cow pose. Really draw the shoulder blades in together. And as you exhale, we're going to round the spine, push the seat back towards the heels as you bring your elbows down and your forehead down. Modified child's pose. Inhale, come up to that modified cow, dropping the belly, lifting the chin. Then as you exhale this time, you're going to tuck your toes and lift your knees, rounding your spine, and hover your knees to start. Let the head hang heavy and the chin draw in towards the chest. Then bring the knees down to the outside edge of the mat, untuck the toes, lift the chest and belly, dropping the belly, lifting the chest. Exhale, round the spine, head down to the mat. Inhale, come up to your cow pose here, dropping the belly, lifting the chin. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and then push your seat up and back behind you, but keep your legs nice and bent here. Bring the knees back down to the outside edge of the mat, untuck the toes, lift the head, drop the belly. Exhale, round the spine, bring the seat back towards your child's pose. Inhale, last time here, coming to that cow pose. Lifting the chin, dropping the belly. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and make your way to your downward facing dog. So we're going to push the seat up and back behind us. Keep the knees nice and bent here to start. So we're going to focus on the hands first. So make sure that your fingertips are spread nice and wide. And so to roll the triceps away from each other as you draw the shoulder blades down the back a little bit. And then try to bring the chest and torso down towards the mat a little bit more as you push with your hands, bringing the seat up and back behind you. And once you've arrived here, then you can start to straighten the legs out. And the reason we do it that way is we're trying to get a nice long spine before we try to get the long straight legs here. The spine here is more important than the legs in this position. And so if you don't come to straight legs yet, or even for a while, that is totally fine. Down dog with some bent knees is, with a straight spine is better than a down dog with straight legs and a rounded spine. On your next inhale, let's look to the front of your mat and start and bend your knees. And then as you exhale, walk your feet to meet your hands in a forward fold here. Nice long, or nice bent knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Here's where your long spine comes in. And then exhale, come back to a fold. Bring your fingertips down to the ground here and keep the left fingertips on the ground. And on your inhale, you're going to open up to the right as you bend deep into the left leg, bringing the right arm overhead. Exhale it back down, bringing the right fingertips to the floor. Open up to the left as you bend deep into the right leg. Exhale it down, bringing the left fingertips to the floor. Open up to the right, bending deep into the left leg, straightening the right leg. Exhale down. Bring the left arm overhead as you straighten the left leg, bending deep into the right. And back down. And then one more time, and this time we'll hold. So bring the right arm overhead, bend deep into the left leg, straighten the right. We'll hold for a breath round here. And then exhale it back down, bending deep into the right leg, straighten the left, bringing the left arm up. overhead. Exhale it here. Nice big inhale in. And then exhale to fold. Sweep the arms up overhead as you come up to rise, bringing the arms overhead, palms facing in towards each other. You can come to your tippy toes if you want to, you don't have to. And then exhale to Tadasana, arms by your side. So we're gonna do a little bit of balance work here, like we did last time, if you were here last time. So we're gonna start with Tadasana at the front of our mat, and we're gonna bring all of our weight into our right foot here. And then hover the left foot off of the ground and find your balance here first. If you need a chair or a wall or something like that to help you, that's totally fine. And we're gonna bring our toes out in front of us, and you can either hover your toes or tap your toes down to the ground. Bring your toes out as far as you can to the outside of the mat. Tap the toes or hover the toes. And then bring the toes behind you, tap or hover. And then bring the toes back in front and then across your body this time and tap or hover here. Come back to center. And then we're gonna reverse directions here. So we're gonna go across the body to start, tap and hover. Bring it back in front of you and then behind you and then tap or hover. And then bring it out to the side, tap or hover. And back out in front, tap or hover. And then back to meet the other foot, letting your foot down. Nice work, everyone. And so we'll be doing that one kind of consistently here for a little while, just to build some balance and stabilize your muscles up. So if you want to start with the chair just to kind of get the feel for it, or whatever you want to do, that's great. And then we'll progress through it. The first progression is tapping. The second progression is hovering. And then the third progression is eyes closed. So let's bring all of our weight into the left foot this time. Come up onto the tippy toes of the right, or sorry, hover the right foot off the ground. And then find a spot to keep your gaze right in front of you, either in front of you or down at the mat in front of you here. We're gonna bring the toes in front of us and now they tap or hover the foot. Bring the toes out wide, tap or hover the foot. Bring the toes behind you, tap or hover the foot. Bring the toes back in front and across the body, tap or hover the foot. Bring the toes back in front and hover. And then now we're going to switch directions. Bring the toes across the body, tap or hover. Nice work, everyone. Bring the toes behind you, tap or hover. Bring the toes back in front and then across, or sorry, to the outside of the body as far as you can, tap or hover. And then bring the toes back in front as far as you can, tap or hover. And then back to meet the other foot and down. Nice work. All right, so we're gonna move into our Sun A poses here. So this is one of the flow elements of the class that we'll be working on. A lot of the stuff we're doing is hatha work, but this is one of the flow elements. So we're gonna inhale and sweep the arms up overhead. You can come up to your tippy toes or not, your choice. Exhale, hinge and swan dive forward, bending deep into the knees, letting the head hang heavy. Half lift is on your inhale, nice long spine. And then as you exhale, frame your feet to step back to plank or walk your feet back. And then you can always have your knees down in a plank here as well, whichever works for you. So from your plank pose here, we're gonna inhale and shift our weight forward. And then exhale, you're gonna bend your elbows and come all the way down to the mat. Untuck the toes, and on your inhale, you're gonna lift your torso and your head up, a little bit of a back bend here, and try to traction your hands back here. So you're sort of pulling your hands back as you're in this position, as you lift your chin up, drawing the shoulder blades in together. And then as you exhale, you're gonna bring the head down, tuck the toes, lift the knees, press up into a downward facing dog. So when you press up to a down dog, you're sort of pressing up into a plank, doing a push-up, and then pressing your seat up and back behind you. On your next inhale, bend your knees, look to the front of your mat. As you exhale, walk your feet to meet your hands in a forward fold. Half lift is on your inhale, and exhale to fold. Sweep the arms up overhead, coming up to your tippy toes if you want to. And exhale to Tadasana, arms by your side. So that's one way to do it. That's with the Cobra pose. And so this time we'll do it with a Chaturanga pose if you want to. We do it that way first because that's sort of the simpler way to do it. So if that was enough for you, go ahead and come all the way down to the mat and do that Cobra. Otherwise, we're going to do a Chaturanga and up dog, which is just basically the same thing, but we're not going to go all the way down to the mat. So we'll go ahead and inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, coming to the tippy toes. Exhale, hinge and swan dive forward. Half lift is on your inhale. Exhale, frame your front feet, step or walk your feet back to a plank or a modified plank. And so from here, you can come to the Cobra, or you're going to inhale and shift your weight forward. Exhale, Chaturanga, and come halfway down. Inhale, untuck the toes, and press up to an upward facing dog. So if you're doing up dog here, it's a deep back bend, so be aware of that. And then you're going to keep your knees off the ground. And then as you exhale, you roll on your toes, coming back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees, look to the front of your mat. And as you exhale, walk your feet to meet your hands in a forward fold. Half lift is on your inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the spine, shoulder blades together. Exhale, fold. Sweep the arms up overhead, come in onto your tippy toes again if you want to. And then exhale to Tadasana, arms by your side. Couple breath rounds in Tadasana here. Let's see while I get a sip of water. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just take a turn to your right here, and then a nice big wide step out. And your toes are going to be at an angle, about a 45-degree angle here. And then you're going to bend into your knees, bringing the seat down behind you, and place your hands on top of your thighs. So your wrists will be on the inside of your thighs, your fingers will be on the outside of your thighs. And then just start to rock back and forth. Kind of similar to that half gate pose that we were doing where we were rocking back and forth. We're doing this to sort of just warm up the muscles here, get things opened up. But if you find a tight point that needs a little bit more tension or a sticking point, like in the groin area, you're more than welcome to stop there and sort of give it a little bit more of a stretch, use your breath to kind of help it out here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the left toes to the front of the mat and then turn the right toes to the side of the mat at a 45-degree angle, sort of sliding your heel back behind you. You're going to turn your torso back to the front of the mat and inhale, bring the arms up overhead. We're coming to a warrior one pose here. So with our warrior one, we want our left knee to be tracking over our left ankle. And you want to be pressing through the outside edge of your back foot. But you don't want to be locking your back knee. You want a very active back leg, but you don't want to lock it out. And so your shoulders, if you're kind of off to the side here, try to square your shoulders up to the front of the mat as much as you can. And then take a nice big inhale in. And as you exhale, maybe settle into the hips, half an inch, quarter inch, whole inch more. And then notice where your shoulders are. If your shoulders are up by your ears, kind of scrunched up by your ears, try to draw them down the back away from the ears. this means like sort of a wider Y position. That's totally fine and normal for a lot of people, actually. That just means you have more mass in your shoulders, stronger, things like that. So one more big inhale in, exhale it out. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna straighten your front leg as you turn your left toes to the side, bringing your palms together. And then we're gonna switch and go to the back of the mat. So warrior one on the other side. So you're gonna bend deep into that right leg here. Your left toes will be at a 45-degree angle. Arms are overhead, palms facing in towards each other. And then square the shoulders to the front of the mat. We're gonna hold for a few breath rounds and I'm gonna come take a look, see how y'all are doing. Nice. Doris, if you can square your shoulders to the front of the mat a little, or the back of the mat a little bit more. Just turn the torso a bit. There you go. Nice. Nice work, everyone. And then one more big inhale. And as you exhale, turn back to the side of the mat, arms overhead. And then bring your hands to your hips, heel toe your feet in together, and come back to standing at the front of the mat. All right. So we're gonna start moving through the rest of it here. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, bring your hands and arms back down. We'll just do a couple of these just to kind of recenter ourselves. Inhaling the arms overhead. Exhale, bring the hands and arms back down, heels down. One more time. Oops. Inhale up overhead, coming to your tippy toes or falling over like I did. Exhale down here. All right, so we're gonna take another step out to the right again here. Sort of the same thing. We're gonna have our toes out at a 45-degree angle, and nice wide step out here. And then we're gonna bring our hands to the tops of our thighs as you start to lean and hinge back and forth here. And this time, once you get back to the front of your mat, bending deep into the left leg, we're gonna hold for a breath round. Okay. Exhale here, nice big inhale in. And then bend into the right knee, coming to the back of the mat, and hold here. Come back up to center, and then turn those toes to the front of the mat, the left toes to the front of the mat. Turn the right toes back, to the side of the mat at a 45-degree angle. We're gonna come back into our warrior one pose here. Take a nice big inhale in, and exhale, settle the hips, settle the knee, square the shoulders to the front of the mat. One more big inhale. Then now we're gonna open up to our warrior two pose here. So warrior two pose has a little bit more of a perpendicular position with your back foot. You can keep it at that same angle, but if it's more comfortable for you to have your back toes basically parallel with the back of the mat, that works as well for you. So the key here is to make sure you're not leaning too far forward to start. You want to keep your shoulders over your hips. Nice, Dad. And then your shoulders are going to be square to the side of the mat. And then bring your gaze over your front hand. And as you do so, make sure you notice your front knee and make sure it hasn't started collapsing into the inner line, and try to keep it over your left ankle here. On your next inhale, we're gonna reach forward as far as you can. Trying to get a nice straight line here down the right side. And then exhale, come back to your warrior one or two. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, reaching forward as far as you can, maybe bending a little deeper into the knee. Exhale, come back up to your warrior two. Inhale, reach forward as far as you can here. And then as you exhale this time, keep that reach forward. Bring your left forearm to the top of the left thigh and sweep the right arm up overhead and then as far in front of you as you can here. This is called extended side angle. And so your left forearm can stay on your left thigh here, or you can bring your fingertips to the ground, whichever feels better for you. One more big inhale in here. And then as you exhale, we're gonna sweep the right arm down to the floor and start to walk your hands to the back of the mat as you bend into the right knee and start to straighten the left leg out. Drawing those left toes back towards the left shin. This is called Skandasana. One more big inhale in this position here. So you're bending deep into the right leg. You can come up onto the right tippy toes, bringing the right heel off the ground. And then as you exhale, on your next exhale, start to walk your hands back to the front of the mat as you bend into your left knee, framing the front foot, and then step the right foot to meet the left in a forward fold. Half lift is on your inhale in, nice long spine. Exhale, hinge and fold. Sweep the arms up overhead, coming onto your tippy toes. And then exhale to Tadasana, arms by your side. Switching sides here, we're going to turn to the left this time, taking a nice wide step out. Toes are at an angle again here. And this time, let's bring our hands to heart center. And start to bend your knees, bringing the seat down and back behind you. Trying to keep a nice long spine here. And engage the belly to help support the spine. And now you can stay here with your hands at heart center, or you can bring your arms to a cactus shape. And if you really want to get into this pose, you can come up onto your tippy toes if you want to. You don't have to do that. It's a difficult sort of balance position. You can keep your heels down, more than fine. Start to straighten your legs on your next inhale, turning your right toes to the front of the mat this time, and then bringing the left toes to an angle towards the side of the mat. Bend deep into the right leg as you bring your arms up overhead, coming into your warrior one. We'll hold for a couple breath rounds. Nice work, everyone. And then on your next exhale, you're going to open up to warrior two, squaring your shoulders to the side of the mat this time. And it doesn't matter where your hips are. Sometimes people say to square your hips up to the side of the mat with warrior two. That does not need to happen. Your hips can kind of go wherever they want to go. It's just your shoulders really that you want to square up to the side. Because if you try to square your hips to the side of the mat, then your front knee starts to collapse in. And you want to keep that front knee really engaged and active over your front ankle. So once your shoulders are squared to the side of the mat, bring your gaze over your front arm, and then start to lean forward on your next inhale. And as you exhale, bring your torso back up. Inhale, lean forward as far as you can. Exhale, come back up. Inhale, go ahead and lean forward as far as you can. And this time we're going to bring that right elbow or right forearm to the top of the right thigh and the left arm overhead. And then reach in front of you towards the front of the mat so that you have a nice straight line from your fingertips, left fingertips, all the way to your left ankle. And this is called extended side angle again. So you can keep that forearm here if you want to get a little bit deeper into this pose. You can bring your hand on the inside of your foot, of your right leg here. And you can bring it to a block. Maybe your fingertips come down to the mat, whichever. One more big inhale in here. Then as you exhale, you're going to bring your torso down, bringing your left fingertips to the floor, and then start to walk your your fingers and hands back to the back of the mat as you bend into the left leg, coming up onto the left tippy toes and straighten the right leg. You need to stay up pretty high in this, that's totally fine. And if you need to reposition as well, to get a little bit better stretch here, also totally fine. And if that doesn't work for you either, you can come up to where we were before with that legs bent, toes to the outside edge of the mat, and then just sort of lean deep into that left knee, keeping the right leg nice and straight here. There you go. But if you want to bring the toes to the ground or the fingertips to the ground, a little bit deeper stretch. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, start to straighten the legs and then bring the hands underneath the shoulders facing the side of your mat here. Bring the heels behind the toes and then hinge and fold over, wide-legged forward fold. Again, if you want to adjust your feet here, that's totally fine. Go ahead and do so. We'll be here for a few breath rounds. You can bring your hands just underneath your shoulders here. Maybe you grab opposite elbows and let your head hang heavy. And maybe you sort of rock your torso back and forth here. Nice big inhales and exhales through the nose. And let's go ahead and heel toe our feet in together, bringing the fingertips to the ground. And bring the knees down to the mat. And turn to face the front of your mat, toes together, and then come to a child's pose. The arms are out long, knees are out to the outside edge of the mat. Toes are together, forehead down to the mat. Go ahead and press our hands up back underneath our shoulders. Sweep your feet around as you make your way to a comfortable seat here. Actually, bring your legs out long in front of you, which is probably not super comfortable for a lot of people. It's not my most comfortable position. If you want a little bit of support here, you can grab a blanket and kind of roll it up and place it underneath the glutes here. That'll help straighten the spine and maybe make this a little bit more comfortable. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, reach through the top of the skull here, try to lengthen through the spine. Then exhale, hinge and fold over. Grabbing whatever's available to you here, whether it's your shins, your ankles, or the feet. And start to bring your forehead down to the knees as much as you can. Just letting it hang heavy and letting gravity take hold. You want a little bit more of a stretch for the low back. You can start to pull your feet in towards you. And if your legs aren't straight here and you need to have a little bit of bend in your knees, that's totally fine too. That can help protect the low back a little bit too if you need. Go ahead and come back up. And we're going to come all the way down to our backs. Bend the knees in, keeping the soles of the feet on the ground, about hips width distance apart. And then you're going to bring your elbows right next to your ribs here. And then bend them at 90 degrees, keeping the palms facing in towards each other. We're going to come up into a couple bridge poses here. Similar to the cows, we're going to try to go up one sort of segment at a time with our spine. So we're going to start with our tailbone. So lift the tailbone up off the ground, taking the entire inhale to lift up, lifting the tailbone, the low back, the mid back, the upper back, and finally up into the neck. And then as you exhale, come all the way down again here, starting at the upper back, the mid back, low back, finally bringing the tailbone. One more time, inhaling it up, rolling up that spine, taking the entire inhale to go up here, slowly but surely. And with care, and then slowly bring it down here. Taking that entire exhale to bring the tailbone down. One more time. This time we're going to hold at the top. So inhale, bring it up. And just go as far as is comfortable again here. If you find any pain points here or twinging points, just come out of it and come to before that pain point and stay there. But if you want to come all the way up, once you arrive, you can kind of tuck your shoulders down your back a little bit and bring your hands underneath your seat and interlace your fingers. And then press through your hands to really press the hips up towards the sky. Holding for a nice big inhale in. And then as you exhale, let the hands go and then slowly bring the seat back down. Pull both knees into your chest here, giving yourself a nice big hug. And then let your left leg go out long in front of you as you grab the outside edge of your right bent knee with your left hand and start to roll off onto your left hip, bringing the right leg across the body, coming into a little spinal twist here to finish our practice out. So the right arm can go long next to you. Your gaze can go to the ceiling or over your right arm. And we'll be here for a few breaths. Come back up to center and pull both knees into the chest here. This time let the right leg go long. Grab the outside of your left knee with your right hand and start to roll onto your right hip, bringing the left leg across the body. Left arm can go out long next to you in sort of a T shape. And your gaze can be towards the ceiling or over your left arm for a little bit of a neck stretch if you want. Just find that rectangular shaped breath again here as you breathe and settle in. Nice long inhales through the nose. Light pause at the top of the inhale. Nice long exhales out through the nose. And slight pause at the bottom of your head. Come back up to center, pulling both knees into the chest one last time. And let your legs go long in front of you. And we're going to actually take any final position that might feel good for you too. So if you want to do like a little happy baby to finish out class here, grabbing the outsides of your feet with your hands and sort of coming up to the sky. Really any final little movements that your body might be asking for before we make our way to our final resting pose of Shavasana. Legs are out long, Arms are by your side, palms to the ceiling. And just let your eyes flutter shut here. And just let go of any tension you might be holding. Maybe slide the shoulder blades down the back. Just set yourself up with care. Just take these next few moments to relax and breathe and rest. Start to notice your breath again here. And start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing some small movements back to your body. Rolling out your wrists and your ankles. And bringing your arms overhead and stretching all the way from your fingertips to your toes. Bend one knee in at a time and roll off onto your favorite side. And press your way up to a comfortable seat. Once you've arrived here, your eyes can be open or closed, but just take a moment to notice how you feel. And take a moment of appreciation for your time spent on the mat. Bring our hands to heart center. Thank you, everyone, for showing up and sharing your practice on this Wednesday morning. Time's weird these days. Thanks, everyone, and namaste.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks for joining this morning.
Thanks, Jack.
See you all later.
Okay. See you next week.
Have a good
Thanks, Jack.
day, and we'll see you next week.